Most of the horses bought by the gang across Ireland were on the face of it of little value. Horses which have proper documentation can demand a higher price, often several £100s when sent to slaughter, but they need a document called a horse passport. It shows the provenance of the horse and, crucially, its medication history. And horses born since 2009 also need a microchip implanted under their skin, and the chip number is recorded in the passport. Vet Joe Collins says that in theory this system should allow any horse to be properly identified.
So how the system works is that since 2009 it's a requirement when an owner applies to have a passport issued that the horse has a microchip present, and the microchip is always inserted in the neck on the left hand side, so it can be read in that position with a particular scanning device. It can't be seen, it's buried in the tissues. And so since 2009 every horse that has a passport issued for them will also have a matching microchip, and the microchip number that can be read with this device is also to be found on the document that links with that animal. So it should be a unique way of identifying what this or who this horse is, and provide information about the animal.
That's the theory, but in practice the scam was simple. It should always be a vet who inserts the microchip in a horse and fills in the passport. The gang simply did it themselves, inserting bogus microchips into the animal and forging horse passports to match them. The insider says it happened on an industrial scale. In the trade, horse passports are known as books.
They had new books there. They had a coal bag full of new books.
But some horses needed to have a microchip,
Yep.
so what happened in that case?
They were put in,
How could they be put in?
like an injection.
Did you ever put chips into horses?
Yes.
But the chip has a number, so how did that work?
You get your scanner and read it.
And write the new number into the passport?
Yep.
This meant that horses bought at marts or from farmers for less than £50 were now worth several £100s when sold to abattoirs licensed to slaughter for export abroad for human consumption. It was a license to print money. All they needed was horses, lots of them.
If there were big horses, you'd get 16 on it. If they were big mixed, big and small, you'd put 25, 26 horses on.
Pack in as much as you can.
Yeah.
A full lorry, how much would you have paid for those horses in total?
You wouldn't give any more than £1,000 for them.
The scam was lucrative. A lorry load of horses which cost no more than £1,000 to buy would fetch far more when sold to an abattoir to be slaughtered for human consumption. How much money were you taking home?
The average check would run into about 5,000, 40, or something like that.
And from that, how much would they give to you?
Get 1,000.
It's great money.
Yeah.
The money may have been good, but as time went on, the insider began to see the cost of the criminal operation. Cruelty on a massive scale. The gang were gathering large groups of horses together before taking them to England. But there were so many awaiting transport that for long periods horses would get no food, shelter or water. He told us about that in his first interview.
They'd be starving for weeks on end in the bad weather, and then when the boys eventually thought of going to round them or gather them up, there would be nothing there to gather up, because there was a glut of horses everywhere else that they couldn't get to them.
Tell me about the horses that didn't make the journey to the ferry. What happened to them?
Well, there was horses that didn't make the journey to the ferry, but there was horses that didn't make the journey out of the field. And them horses would just simply get a hole dug and threw into it and filled over.